Wow, that's good. Not like you missed it down.
So here we are going down into the basement in this antique lift, which can only take 6 people maximum. And as we go in, you have to shut the gate and you have to hold the button to get the lift to start.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Proper old school.
Yeah, this is like the oldest lift ever.
Ah. Different side.
Wow.
Oh, anyway. Wow.
So here we come out of the lift and we aren't able to go in that room because it's being used for storage, so it's full up. And as we come around, you can see the heavy iron door, bank style. And some of these areas used for storage as well. Lots of bits and pieces for works outside the building. Old doors. And that's a tunnel we're going to go into a bit later on, but you can see on the left Christmas decorations, and as we turn around, this room is used mostly for storing Christmas decorations. So these would be on outside parts of buildings in the area, all stored underground. Lots of the new pipework is evidenced here, and some areas of this long tunnel have been sealed off from other areas with new bricks. But this is a very tall tunnel, a lot taller than some of the ones we're just about to visit. A lot of areas you have to duck down, and I'm not sure if that's because the floor height has been raised or whether or not these tunnels were always built for a slightly shorter stock of people. More Christmas decorations. And here you can really get to hear the noise of the extractor fans working, which is another good reason why you don't want to be hearing a lot of this original audio.
It's quite a rare sort of thing, really, to come down here, isn't it?
And in this next room you have living quarters, but it also used to be a goods servicing area, so they used to bring goods in and out, and there's a pinwheel which is up in the ceiling, and they used to pull on ropes goods up and down into the storage area. And you can see now the pinwheel that's up in the ceiling, and that would have been used to lower goods from street height, which is where that bin is, down into the tunnels here. And those are real electric cables still in use today, and they come right the way through and they go into the transformer room. And these wires are for supplying many of the shops and businesses in the local area. And here is the transformer room. So we're not going to be going in there, a bit too dangerous. And these stairs lead you up to the ground level, but as we go up you will notice some ventilation pipes which come from the downstairs area, metal ventilation which goes up to the upper level and street level.
Venting.
And this was rumoured to be one of the biggest Airaid shelters in Bristol, so you can see some of the wood has come away, and this is just wood that's been boarded over. And this is a stairway from the living areas to the working areas and the Airaid shelters. And this area was apparently pretty heavily operated, so it was used for stock entry as well. And there were different offices for different companies spread around the tunnels. And you can see very old school electrics there, and a big sign saying "to the stores." And people used to unload their stuff into the cellars and tunnels. goes up to a dead end here, somewhere where you can't actually get into. It just goes to show the old setup of the stairs. Interesting to see the black paintwork on the wall has gone off. It just shows it goes up into more stairs, but this is where we go to get back down. As you can see, it says electricity room and stores. And please turn the lights off. There's real rustic character here. You can imagine a Victorian cellar. And that's that little slat that we were looking through from outside. And there's certainly plenty of cobwebs and rustique, I think is the word I'm looking for. There's a rustique quality to some of these basements. That's the transformer room again. Good place to store your ladders. Just don't be crossing those wires or playing around with them. There's a lot of voltage going through those. And there's the remnants of an old tunnel, which we may go around to see in a minute. More storage space. That's from the other end. We were looking down here from the other end a minute ago. More storage of Christmas stuff, and that noisy fan. But I'm sure you've had enough of that sound of that fan now. You can see more modern pipe work has been pushed through some of this underground area. And you've got evidence of old ventworks which have come up from the ground. So they've been ground fitting for air distribution on both sides of the door. You don't get to see a lot of that anymore. That's quite old, quite unique. And this would have been an old lavatory space. Again, now used just for storage and Christmas trees. You can see some of the old arched tunnels and pipework going through into the next room. Some drainage on the left for the sewage. Here we've got evidence of the old wooden floors, block wooden floors and oak wooden floors. And as we come into this room, you see a difference. We've got something that's been done out a little bit more snazzy. The roof has been painted in. We've got a wooden sideboard at the end of the room. And these are all bits and pieces that would have been used in the town. And there are various stalls and areas that have signs and signage, and some of that has been transferred into this basement. You can see some display stands, and there's some more of the venting which has been hidden in behind the ceiling this time. But this used to be an old conservative club, which is a political organisation in the United Kingdom. You've got the Labour Party and you've got the Conservative Party. And as a Conservative club, you'd have members of the Conservative Party would come down here and have a drink. So you can see various bits and pieces which link to the stuff that's been stored. And here we have more signage and decorations and more of these vents in the walls. And we go through a fire exit, and you can see the iron door that we saw earlier on. So we've gone full circle all the way around back to roughly where we started. More security and fire doors, and some of those pipe works that go through the various rooms. A small office room here, but you can see some of the original embossed wallpaper, which was very popular years ago, and some pencil drawings of what looks to be a German fighter aircraft on the walls. Here's that iron door again. Now we go to a different section. To the left of us is the lift that we came in on the right is the storage area. And that's the storage room, and you can see the pipe going through all the way. And another corridor leading somewhere, which I think we'll come back to later on. But now you've got a very interesting old-fashioned staircase, and what looks like a little cupboard, but when you open it, there isn't anything inside. It's just a brick wall. So there might have been pipe works in here in the past, but nothing really there now. So it's interesting to see these old stairs. Very old-fashioned, very oldie-worldy. Nice to see a classic example of something like this. But then here we have a sneaky little entrance which takes you into some of the tunnels. Now these tunnels get very interesting. I don't know what those pipes are on the left. Fingers crossed, not in use anymore. There's some newer pipes on the upper section. But here you can see sort of archways and brickwork, which is quite interesting, and how this area has had to be modified to fit in with the modern needs of the building. You can see some newer pipes that have been laid down, probably for waste. And that's the back half of, I believe, the stairs above. Not too much in that room. A lot of those floors got cut out and new floors put in. Now as we move around, you can see a drain cover in the floor, and as we go to the right, these are the old Victorian living dwellings. So this would have been underground Bristol living. So people would have been living in the depths, in the darkness, but probably quite warm, because the ground retains quite a bit of heat. I couldn't resist coming down and having a look at here, but didn't fancy going too far. What with all those spider webs there, I thought, no, maybe not. Maybe not, because it's a proper spider fest in there. So, oh, no, looks like I've changed my mind. I'm being ambitious. Literally smashing into quite a few spider webs there, just to check out this room. And that's all there is. It may be that that's a sealed tunnel going off to a little bit further, but there certainly is a low room here, so not good for a 6-foot-high person, perhaps somebody a little bit smaller. And just a few old bits of paper and newspapers and things stashed in the corner there. It's amazing how the pipes just go through everything and take their own path, almost like roots of a tree. look at this. Wow, look at this. That's an old fireplace. And what have we got on the left? It's a witch's cauldron, or a food cauldron. Now, I know some people think that they wouldn't have been cooking food in one of those, that it might have been used for washing clothes. But look at this old-fashioned stairs. It's amazing. Tiny little stairs. It's been blocked off, so it's a stairway to nowhere. But this is fantastic. Look at that old fireplace there. Wow. And let's have a quick look up through at the flue, where it goes. God, certainly hasn't been used in a long time, apart from by the spiders. And here we have this amazing cauldron. Now, what were they doing with this? What were they doing with that? Were they cooking food? Or were they doing their washing? Hard to say, eh? But certainly a real rare treat to see this. Now, in later years, obviously they fitted a toilet and a sink. Those are probably modern additions, but this is a rare treat, this room. It's like a proper time capsule. And who would have thought we would have seen that down here? So, I think we missed a room here, so I'm just going to check it out. So here we have another room. Doesn't seem to go too far. Goes down into more tunnels. And you can see the street light coming in, and something that's been sealed up. So who knows where that tunnel goes? That's been sealed up a long time ago. These are going into bits that are part of the underground that we're in, so we're still within the confines of the building space that we're underneath at the moment. And what have we got here? We've got even more. Now, these breeze blocks have obviously been put in place, and you can see there, we're not going to give you any clues where that is, but if any of you recognise it, good for you. You're obviously a very staunch Bristolian, if you can recognise that. But look at this, another fireplace. Wow, look at that. Another cauldron. Can you imagine people all huddled around with a fire going there, keeping that cauldron warm? And a lot of breeze blocks have been used here to shore up the building above, and a lot of more modern pipes for the sewage. And you can see the natural drain-off angle of the pipes. So it's interesting to see that you can work out the drain angle there. And another tunnel that probably would have gone outside the confines of the building and into the basements of other buildings nearby. And again, we look up at the sky, the mysterious sky underneath Bristol. But yeah, there's a lot of shoring up work going on here, so surveyors probably thought that this needed the work. But you can see lots of archways, and you can see how close it is to just underneath the street level. So literally beneath your feet, you're walking along. There's old pipes, old electrics. These look like they may even be lead pipes, but probably not in use now, because I don't think lead is very favoured anymore. But look how close we are underneath the streets. You're talking about maybe 3 feet, and lots of these archways. It's hard to realise when you're walking along the street that you are walking along tunnel after tunnel after tunnel, just a few feet below your feet. But this just goes to prove it. And here we have a chute. So this would be a chute that you could load coal down or pass stuff down. You'd open that chute and throw things down. Just better not be underneath when they do it. So more archways going off, and some stalagmites, or mites, because tights, as in T-I-T, hang down. That's the way I remember it anyway. T-I-T-S, hang down. Some more pipe work. And another room which looks like it may have had a plinth for something that was sitting on that area, which has now been removed. It could have been a boiler, could have been a water container, but something seems to have been made up into a plinth on that position. Could it have been that the floor level was raised in that area? And something at the end which looks to me to be a boiler. And that's the heat exchanger in the middle. So you'd have had a heat produced by either oil-fired burning or gas burning, then heating these chambers with water in them so that you could get hot water out of a boiler. So that to me looks like a boiler that's just rusted through. The walls of the boiler have gone. And just a myriad and a labyrinth of strange pipes going all over the place. Probably a lot of which have been forgotten about and are no longer used, but just goes to show they didn't exactly root the pipes out of the way of people. They just let them sort of meander along, almost as if the pipes took some sort of preference. Now if we pop out here, we're back into the stairway and another room, another couple of rooms. So we're underneath the floorboards of the building above. And you can see there's a few areas. There would have been a cauldron on this fire, but the cauldron's been removed. So this was all living spaces, different areas for businesses and people to live. Now, this is an interesting area because this is the switch equipment and electrics and plant room. So now, as we move out, we see nearer ground level, this is a plant room for the building. So this is where some of these newer pipes are going out, and you can see the pressure on the gauges there, which show that they're in use. And electric switch room and a storeroom. So if somebody wanted to store a lot of stuff down here, there certainly is plenty of space still left. And along this end, and as we come full circle on this section, we come back down the stairs that we came up earlier on. And we head back out into this corridor, connecting corridor, which has the lift and the storage rooms. So there's the storage rooms. Bit of a gimbal wobble there. Settle down. Sam and Jess taking an interest in this old metal door. So now we're going to a different section, but you've got to go right the way through, back where we came. This is the Conservative Club, and you can see a barber's chair there, which is interesting, isn't it? Somebody's taken up some of the wood on the floor. There's those vents. And now we head down to a different section through the big fire doors. Big old metal fire doors there. And we head into this section. Some old spaces here, which, as you can see, there are some steps, and it looks like it would incline to the surface. And there's a secure room. There's just some drainage, some drain holes, and spare space. Yeah, this could have been used as an air raid shelter. You can see how the whitewash on the walls is starting to sort of fade through now with the damp. There's a drain hole. And a wooden board, which looks like it might have been somewhere where you had electrics or some sort of fuse boxes. You can see that this definitely would have gone off because there's a stairs. It does say exit above it, so shame we couldn't go in there with the Christmas decorations in the way, but here's another example of what that could have been like, because it's pointing in the same direction. So you can see almost the same thing, a slanted thing going to the surface. It's been bricked off with the stairs down one side. So almost like you'd have in a pub, maybe to roll barrels down from above on a slant whilst the stairs is on one side. So definitely a loading area. Alcoves, and possibly somewhere where you'd had shelving. Another hole, possibly venting. You can see a vent on the other side. These could have been toilets, but more modern toilets, the spacing. So this would have been for the Airaid Shelter side of things, to provide adequate toilets for the many people who would be avoiding the bombs dropping over Bristol in the Second World War. There's a vent. These look like old steps lifting you up into this section. And there's some new pipes made out of copper this time, copper and plastic, so they are definitely newer. A vent hole, again going possibly up to the surface. And again, hard to know exactly what was in these rooms, but now this is a section that we visited earlier. It looks familiar. So we're back up in this space. Yeah, but it doesn't really go very far. We're mostly interested in tunnels, but here we are, street level again. So, without giving anything away, that's the street level, so you can see how close we are, and you can see people walking over the top. And this is interesting. Now, rat poison. Somebody's dropped a needle down, and they would drop those down through the vents. So rather than carry them with them, they just dispose of things naughtily. They destroy the evidence by throwing it down the vents, or get rid of the evidence. And other things have been found down here, such as purses, wallets, keys, things that have been stolen by pickpockets and then disposed of down the vents. So you can see the deeper level. Sorry about the wobble. Gimbal's having a moment there. So storage spaces. So this stairs doesn't actually go anywhere. I think it's locked up. So I can have a quick look, but it doesn't go anywhere. And you can see somebody's been using filler foam to kind of seal up the edges of the stairs, but it's been locked up. Old-fashioned drain pipes would have been hanging on those hooks. So it's a real rabbit warren. And as we head down through this corridor, you can start to hear the fan noise again. Various ways to get to the surface. Yep. Very noisy with the fan, extractor fan here. And we are on our way out. Again to the, now we'll have a look at these little ports. Now this leads to piping which goes underneath the floor, so it's just an access port. They're just crawl spaces, if that, and you can see some inspection holes. Yep. And the locks, which are quite interesting. As you can see, these locks would have come out sideways like bank vault doors, so that simply prying the door won't help because it's attached at multiple points. But as we come up here now to this room, you can smell the ammonia in this room. This would have been part of the Airaid shelters. And they've made a little bit more effort to decorate this room, but you can see some old urinals, the old black and white tiles on the floor, and seems like a rat has been living here and died here. So he lived and died by the toilets. But here we are. This is interesting. You've got metal on the wall. I don't know why they would have put metal on the wall, riveted, like you'd get on a ship. Unusual. Hard to know why they would put metal work like that in a toilet. The old porcelain, old-fashioned toilets and classic British styling. We just put the pipe work on display. Could be considered either a little bit ugly or quite quaint. We don't seem to know much about how to hide pipework. And just out of this, if you take a left, then you've got the lift machinery in this room. And this is the working lift. And that's the lift shaft. That's where the lift lives. And this is the equipment that pulls the winch up and down. And you've got safety bits for the elevator stored in this old Milner's safe, which doesn't seem to want to open for us today. But cables and spare equipment for the lift all stored in there. Yeah. See, Milner's safe. And that's the governor wire for the lift. Yeah, that's the brake, and you can tell that it's in use because it's nice and shiny. How many times we go to places where that brake is just rusted out. So that is pretty much it in this building. But we have a special treat for you because we're going to another building. And it has tunnels which come very close to these tunnels. But we do have to keep the location secret, so we are going to just jump from one building to the other, just to keep the identity of these buildings secure. So as we get the cobwebs and dust off us, because it really is quite dusty in some of these places. So here's a very quick example of what these vents look like from street level. And then straight away we go into another tunnels. Now there's a lot of road equipment, warning equipment, and strangely there's bubble wrap on the roof. But they don't know why there's bubble wrap on the roof. So you've got a few tunnels here, which would now be under the street. So this is where the public are actually walking on top of. And as we walk along the street level, it goes left and right. And again, these tunnels seem to mimic the pathways of the street above, which is interesting. Some of the old paving. So this was built on top of what was originally in here. So it may have brought the level of these spaces up a little bit. Number 12 on the door for some strange reason. Maybe they had these mapped out for individual people to hire and use. You can see how you have to duck your head down to get down here. So maybe the original level was a bit lower. So you have some storage space with a bit of tiling put on the walls to make look good. But unfortunately, as you can see, time takes its toll and the tiles don't stay on the walls. Now this has been fitted for lighting, but not much else. Lighting and sewage works. And good old toilets, old mirrors, and you can see directly up there through glass work. That's a glass vent with little pieces of glass and a little piece. Yeah, that's a glass. That's a glass mirror. Yeah, there's Visa stickers for credit cards and Visa machine on the edge of that mirror. So it would have been in use probably somewhere in the buildings or shops nearby. So this is following a street along. And you can see each one of those vent holes leads up to the street. So it's kind of evidence of the fact that there is a street above. Now that vent has been covered, so it's possible that there's a shop or a building on top of that one now. And this goes into other areas which are not necessarily controlled by the owners of this building. So look at those cobwebs. Whoa. Blech. Horrible. Horrible. This is only really accessed now for maintenance to the sewage pipes. It's not used for anything else, but this is an interesting feature of what somebody was doing down here in the past. But this could have been for tanning. So they put layers of leather or skin, shine the light through, and try and dry something or tan something, but it's a guess. It isn't known exactly what this was used for. So if anybody's got a good idea, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. But this looks like a piece of custom-built equipment, and it seems to have light bulbs in each end. But what we can't understand is how would the light bulbs shine through all of the layers? You know, maybe 1 or 2 layers, but how would it shine all the way through? That's what we can't understand. And each one of these filters has an ornate piece of metal work. This is wrought iron work. So it's probably been made by a wrought iron gate manufacturer, this. You can see the kind of styling that they've used to make it look fancy. I'm guessing that this was made by a wrought iron metal worker. Yeah. And there's the light hole with some of the wires that would have come up. Nice workmanship on the end. And that is one of the filters on its own, which is, yeah, a very old radio, which strangely has an unusual name for its brand. It's called an Internet. The radio brand is called Internet. Internet, yeah. Internet solid state radio. And you can see how plastic survives a lot longer than metal. So here's the various ways off. But these are to other areas because they've been sealed off. So this is other tunnels under other people's premises. Now, yeah, we had to leave a little piece out there because prefer not to have it shown. Look at those cobwebs. Oh. I think I'll have to come down there with a feather duster and get rid of some of those cobwebs for them. Free service I provide. That is the end of this section. We can't show you where it is, but we're going to take a little walk across town and we're going to show you something different, which is a church that we had a little look around, hoping that we could get in, but this is a different area. So here we are.
All Saints Centre. So what do you think this is then? This is part of where that big bell is. So they've got a bell over there. Yeah. It's the Diocese of Bristol Board of Education Resource Centre. Ah, it's a resource centre. We've got All Saints House as well. This connected to that. Different. All Saints Court. Right. Well, it looks like it's got shops down there. So can't be that private. They got shops there. So, got a weird little letterbox. Yeah, and they got buzzers. But this is the kind of like hidden church. And am I right in saying you can see right through to the other side there? Kind of like, yeah. It's kind of a church you don't get to see very much of, but there it is, and that's its spire there. I don't know whether that's ever open for people to come and have a look. God, it's got some old doors here. It's really interesting stuff. All Saints Court. Very oldie worldy. And that's not open, is it? Nope, locked. So yeah, you don't often get to see in this bit. Goodness. And they've just got bits of wood or brick behind there, stone. These look like houses, but the houses are office buildings. It's very hard to see what's going on in there. It looks like they've got lights on in there. And it doesn't look like a church, it looks like a hall. It's not like a church. There's the lights on over there. So yeah. It's a community centre for vicars.
So that's it, folks. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed a secret slice of underground Bristol.